Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Welcome to Wednesday, folks. It is a wonderful Wednesday. For those of you who are here in Jerusalem, I hope you are safe and staying out of harm's way. For those of you who don't know, there was a bombing, and the reason that I found out is because I was turning right just as the ambulances were turning left. I was 2 blocks away. And so, unfortunately, my traffic adventure this week was because of that. So stay safe, people. Please, please, please. We are in the studio this week, and we have a guest. I'm very excited. I've been having so many in-studio guests recently, and this week we're going to be talking to Oran Aviv, who is a reflexologist. And I just want to say that I've recently gone for reflexology treatment, and so I was very excited when I got in contact with you, because then I thought, oh great, I can pick your brain on the air and we can break down everything. So I'm very excited. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Now, you've been working for quite a few years in reflexology. What exactly is it?
Well, most people think of reflexology, they think about working the feet, but actually reflexology is we actually put pressure on the feet and on the hands and on the face and on the ears. And in short, wonderful things start to happen. But reflexology has been around for a really long time. We actually find hieroglyphics of it in the pyramid.
That's so cool.
But modern reflexology began at the beginning of the last century, and it was actually begun by an ear, nose, and throat physician called Dr. Fitzgerald.
Okay.
And what Dr. Fitzgerald found is that by pressing points on the feet and on the hands, people started feeling a lot better. He was able to reduce pain. And he even got to a point where he was able to do minor operations without any kind of anesthesia.
Now, what's interesting to me is that he's an ENT guy. Mm-hmm. That's not, I wouldn't expect someone who's dealing with the throat and the nose, maybe the ears, but I wouldn't anticipate that.
I don't know exactly how he discovered it, but when he discovered it, he was a doctor in the States, but he also would go to London. And he published several papers, and all over England and the States, doctors were starting to press feet and hands. Unfortunately, it stopped, as many things did, as the drug companies started coming over.
Of course.
And people forgot all these other things that once did help us.
Yeah, one of those other things being acupuncture, and I feel like acupuncture is kind of similar in the sense that there are certain points, there are certain areas of the body and certain parts that when we apply pressure or when we trigger them, there are improvements across our systems and all that type of stuff. But how exactly does reflexology work? You mentioned manipulating ears and hands and feet.
A lot of people feel that what Dr. Fitzgerald did is he took the 12 meridians of Chinese medicine and simplified them into 10 zones, which was what he called zone therapy, which was the original reflexology.
Not to be confused with the zone diet, listeners. That's something completely different.
No, there are zones of meridians. But I think to really understand what reflexology is, we have to understand how our body deals with stress. Now, I think we all know stress, especially today in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
But our body has a really amazing way of dealing with stress. Like if you were taking a walk outside and suddenly this big ferocious dog jumped up at you, what would your reaction be?
Well, it's funny because I was walking in the street, and opposite me were these 2 little girls walking, and a dog barked behind the fences, and one of them jumped sky high and screamed, "Imala!" and bolts down the block. So that's
so you've seen
that's the reaction.
Anyway, our body has a really interesting response that's called fight or flight. And when we're in a situation of stress or a life and death situation, our body does something very interesting. It wants to give us all the power we can to either fight or to run away. And in order to do that, it starts to close up a lot of the systems in our body, like our digestive system. If you're about to be eaten by this ferocious beast, you really don't have to think about eating something yourself. Our nervous system doesn't work. Have you ever had a situation where you've gone blank? I don't know if you've come...
I've been having more and more of those moments, actually.
Anyway, when we're under stress, it happens. And actually what does happen is the connection between our nerves just stops working at that moment. And all you really need to do is to breathe and you're able to think again and remember what it is you need to remember.
Right.
And one of the most, also our hormone system changes. That's why we suddenly get that adrenaline rush. And probably the most important thing that happens is our immune system really stops working at that point, because we don't have to worry about fighting germs and
there's a more
viruses.
Immediate threat.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
it's not so much the bacteria in our system.
Exactly.
So-
We have to worry about how we're going to deal with the situation right now.
Exactly.
Now, what's wonderful, as soon as that threat passes, everything returns to normal. But our problem is what happens if we're constantly in threat, constantly under stress. What happens if we wake up in the morning and we hear the news about what happened in Jerusalem, or we hear what's happening in Japan, or we hear other things that are happening, and then we go to work and we're stuck in a traffic jam and we can't move and we're late for that meeting, and then our child, some teacher calls and the child is sick, or we're worried about our son who's in the army, or we're worried about we don't have enough rain in Israel right now, and that goes on and on. We're totally stressed. We have too much work. We don't finish all the paperwork, and we're constantly in stress. When we're constantly in stress, our bodies cannot function like they're supposed to. And then what happens? We go to the doctor and we get
medication.
We get medication to reduce blood pressure, to reduce pain, or to help all kinds of other things. But we're not dealing, if it's coming from the stress, we're not dealing with the problem, we're just dealing with the symptoms. But if you want to guess, there's another way that can really help reduce the stress.
Well, you're going to say probably reflexology.
How did you guess?
Just a hunch. But before you delve into that, I want to talk about a couple of the things that you just mentioned, because I've been reading a lot. I've got a competition coming up this weekend for a bodybuilding thing, and I've been reading loads and loads of articles about different metabolic responses to different types of diets and nutrient timing and blah, blah, blah. And I love this stuff. You know, it's fascinating to me, and it incorporates biology and science. And one of the articles was talking about the constant state of stress and the upped cortisol levels, and how that kind of triggers this sustained and unhealthy level of cortisol, which leads to obesity.
Exactly.
So in my mind,
that, yes.
yeah, and I'm thinking in my mind, well, gosh, instead of getting whatever they are, what are those Weight Watchers or whatever, just go in for some reflexology and drop a few pounds, and it would be so much more fun and relaxing. I don't know. That's what I was thinking about.
I don't guarantee it, but I
it's an option. But reflexology is considered an alternative therapy, or some people call it complementary therapy, and there's a lot of controversy as to whether it's really effective or not, and especially for illnesses, not just I'm going to do this and it's going to help relieve my stress and I'll feel more relaxed and I'll have a greater sense of well-being, but can it actually help me with my diabetes, or can it actually help me with my high blood pressure? And there are a lot of skeptics out there who don't believe in the benefits of reflexology at all, just like they don't believe in massage, just like they don't believe in whatever, I don't know what kinds of kooky names they have for holistic types of medicine or treatments, but there are studies that show improvement in certain conditions with the help of reflexology, and one that I found, which I was fascinated by, was about menopause symptoms. And obviously you're promoting reflexology and this type of therapy, but what do you have to say to critics?
Okay, well, to those skeptics, first of all, even if you're skeptical, it can work. There's actually a lot of research today. If you go to, there's a site called Reflexology Research. It's reflexology-research.com. Two wonderful reflexologists from the States, Kevin and Barbara Kuntz, have searched the globe all over to find all the different studies, and they range from evidence-based research to really medical double-blind studies. So you can find everything there. I'll just give a review of a couple of them.
Please.
There are 5 studies that demonstrate with the EEG that when a person receives reflexology, their brain waves change to a more relaxed state, like somebody's in meditation. We have a couple research that shows Doppler sonograms that are able to show that the blood circulation is much better to different areas of the body. The research that has been done has been to show that it's to the brain, to the kidneys and intestines. I'm sure that there are many more places that there's a better circulation, just the research hasn't been done for those areas.
All vital organs, though.
Those are the 3 that are tested.
Right.
We know that it causes a lowering of blood pressure and pulse rate. Personally, I've done tests of people who are diabetics who come to me for treatments. I had one who was spiking, his sugar levels were suddenly going high, and I wanted to make sure that,
And did it stabilize their insulin?
Well, what happened is I did a test of him before and after a Reflexology session. And before the Reflexology session, his sugar level was 222, the blood sugar level.
Mm-hmm.
And after 45 minutes, it dropped to 160, which is very, very dramatic for somebody who hasn't taken medication just from relaxing from reflexology.
So why do you think why do you think it's so effective? Like, what is
It's the relaxing.
What is going on?
It's back to that thing. Once we reduce the stress, our bodies heal. Our bodies want to heal. Our bodies want to be healthy. We just really don't let them. We do all kinds of things that are wrong. We eat the wrong foods.
And
we're
keep
under
our cell
stress.
phones at our night tables so that we can check our email as soon as we wake up in the morning.
What reflexology does, I always try to say, like, when your computer, you can't do your computer, you don't know what to do, and what do? We have to set the reset button. That's what happens with reflexology. Somebody comes for that session, and they get 45 minutes of reset. They stop, and suddenly things start to happen again. Suddenly their bodies can start to function again.
Here's I guess a related question, but sort of unrelated. Do you advise reflexology with other types of therapies like massage and maybe aromatherapy? I don't know.
I do a lot. A lot of times I'll even recommend. I work with a lot of other colleagues, and when somebody comes to me, I will sometimes recommend that they do other therapies as well. A lot of times I find it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 = 100. It's actually the synergy of the two together make the person feel a lot better.
Because I'm thinking, the way you're speaking of it, I can envision, and I've actually experienced how reflexology relaxes the body, but you still need sometimes the manipulation of the muscles in a different way.
It depends. It really depends on what the health challenge is. What I can say is what reflexology, I love a lot of treatments. You put me, I love massage, I love shiatsu, I'll try many different ones. Yesterday I tried Theta Healing for the first time. None of them cause the deep relaxation that reflexology does. That's really the secret to reflexology, because it relaxes the body, and because we work certain points, we have a mapping that certain points have to do with each organ or area of tissue. We also cause deep relaxation of that particular organ or tissue. So
the points correspond with actual body parts.
Yes. They found after William Fitzgerald discovered the points that they cause lessening of pain, after him came a physiotherapist, and she was able to discover that the points on the hand and the feet are situated in the same places they are in the body, and that's when we got the reflexology map.
Well, there you go, listeners. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we are going to have more on reflexology with Oran Aviv.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
For all your plumbing needs, call me Sean Plumbing at 052-240-3557. Sean Plumbing can take care of boilers, radiators, blockages, burst pipes, and all your general plumbing needs. Mention this ad when you call me Sean Plumbing and receive 10% off your service call.
Offering the best of Israel at the best price, Shalom Israel Tours can help you make your next trip to Israel the adventure of a lifetime. Shalom Israel Tours will customize a trip to Israel for your family or group. Specializing in bar mitzvah packages, outdoor adventure vacations, wine tours, and more, Shalom Israel Tours is sure to inspire. So whether you're looking for a customized trip, a day tour, or a car rental, Shalom Israel Tours is here to help. Email us at inspire@shalomisraeltours.com or click the banner on the Israel Sports Radio homepage, and soon you will find yourself in Israel. That's Shalom Israel Tours, www.shalomisraeltours.com.
Visit Buffalo Steakhouse, where the best cuts of meat, including our trademark prime rib and asada short ribs, are cooked to order. At Buffalo Steakhouse, you determine the portions. Our finest meats are available in large cuts. Come in, enjoy a great tasting meal and a drink from our full bar. Mention this ad and receive a draft beer for only 10 shekels. For more information, call 02-561-1325 or click on the Buffalo Steakhouse banner on the Israel Sports Radio homepage. For a great kosher dining experience, visit Buffalo Steakhouse at 54 Enek Refine, Jerusalem.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're listening to Kickin hosted by Jordana Kagan on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
And we are back kicking it with Oran Aviv, Reflexologist. Now, Oran, before the break, we got a chatter, Jamie from Holon, and he wanted to say thank you so much for talking about this and just helping people become more aware of reflexology. Yay. So this person has obviously had experience and feels like it's not as mainstream as it could be and should be. And I tend to agree with that. I feel like very frequently these so-called alternative therapies are overlooked for quick fixes. And I want to know more from you now, because you've been in the business for, 15 years?
Yes.
Okay, so you've had so much time and so many different types of clients. Who do you feel benefits the most from reflexology?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people think of reflexologists and they think you need to send people with feet problems. I actually was on one of the forums I'm on of reflexology. They were asking reflexologists, what is the one thing you don't like about your work? And they said, I don't like it that people keep thinking that all I do is fix feet. Okay, we're talking about that we're reducing stress and that way letting the body heal. Then basically reflexology can help almost everybody.
Right. And it's a common misconception, and I had it as well, reflexology feet. And my dad is a podiatrist, so it's sort of, it kind of went in tow with that. But you've clarified that it can be done on hands and it can be done on ears, and it doesn't have to be solely, pun intended, related to the... I'm such a dork. I'm sorry. But talk to us more, these clients.
I can just give you a couple examples from my own clinic to get an idea of the wide range of how reflexology can help. One of my clients, who was about 50, was suffering from really terrible itching mainly on her arms. And she had gone to the neurologist, and they basically told her there isn't anything you can do, just have to wait till it passes. And we were talking about that she couldn't sleep at night, and she couldn't really function. And we said, let's try reflexology. And after the first session, she was able to really sleep at night.
Was it like hives?
It wasn't. She couldn't actually see. It was just a terrible itching. It wasn't that, the marks were just from her scratching. It was some sort of neurological issue. And after a couple sessions, it just totally went away. So again, you got to realize when you're under that state of not sleeping and itching all the time, that's causing more stress.
Absolutely.
And so again, all we did was reduce the stress, and then the body was able to heal.
It's like an episode of House. It's so crazy. Okay, so reflexology can help people with neurological problems.
All right.
Who else can benefit from it?
Back pain. You know what they say? They say 70% of us either suffer, or will suffer from back pain.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
one of my recent stories that I was really happy with was a guy who's in his 40s who suffered from sciatica. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh, yes.
For those who know it, they cringe. I personally have felt it too. Sciatica is the sciatic nerve is the largest nerve that comes from the bottom of the spine and goes all the way down to the heel. And when you're in pain there, it's really debilitating. Yes, you know it. Anyway, this guy was suffering for this for 2.5 months. He claims he had gone to all the doctors, had tried all
everything.
The medication.
I know.
He was even hospitalized and given an epidural, and it didn't help.
Oof.
Now, talk about skeptical. After all the doctors not helping, and you say, why don't you come try reflexology?
Look, I'm right there with him, though, because when I was going through my pain, I was on Vicodin for a month, and it was excruciating, and I couldn't even put my own shoes on, and it was horrible, and it was like a last resort type of thing. I didn't do reflexology, though. I went to a chiropractor, but that was my, a conventional doctor can't help, and steroid shots don't help. And
how can somebody else? Yeah.
Fine, what can I lose at this point?
Well, that's basically what I told him. He's the father of a friend of my son. And I said, come try. And he came, very skeptical. That's why I say even if you're skeptical, it still can work. And after the first session, it was the first time he went through the night without having to take a painkiller.
Nice.
And as we continued, I didn't have the patience. I wanted to, after that, I expected to see it. And this is why you do have to have patience. It isn't a magic pill, as you were saying. It's sometimes everybody's different how long it takes. After the fourth session, he kind of still limped out of the room, out of the clinic. And he actually took a nap, and he woke up, and he was pain-free. And has been that way since the last 6 months.
Now, let me ask you, because you said he felt a difference after the first treatment, but generally, I mean, is that a standard reaction? Because I know when I went in for different, obviously, but physical therapy, it did not improve with the first couple of treatments. You know, I had 6 weeks in is when I started feeling a difference.
Everybody's different. What normally happens, though, is during the reflexology session, people normally feel some sort of improvement because they're finally relaxed. And that sometimes is
enough.
That's enough just to realize, wait a second, this isn't. I think what happens when you have such terrible pain like sciatica, it causes. What's happening is the pain causes more contraction, and more contraction causes more pain, and you get into the cycle that you don't get out of. And just by relaxing and suddenly realizing, wait, I can be with a little bit less pain, then you're able to start to think, maybe I'm not going to be like this for the rest of my life. Because that's the scary is, oh my God, I'm going to be like this all the time.
And that's what I was just going to say. The psychological effect is perhaps more detrimental than the physical effect.
It's all related.
Yeah.
And that's, once you take that break from that, it's amazing. I had one soldier who once came to me who had terrible stomach aches. And, of course, thinking, oh, the Army doctors don't know how to diagnose. She already believes she had the big C, right?
Right.
She came into a session, and suddenly the pain stopped during the session. And that was enough for her to realize, oh, my God, if I really had something bad, it wouldn't go away just from reflexology. And that was enough for her to relax, and the pain stopped.
Now, if someone's pain stops in the middle of a session, do you continue with the treatment for the full 45 minutes?
Oh, of course.
Or do you just let well enough alone?
Reflexology is a holistic treatment. I wouldn't just work, let's say somebody comes with a headache, I'm not going to work just the point of the head, because perhaps a headache is coming from a digestive issue.
Okay.
We always
just
treat
clarifying.
No. And I wouldn't. And also the chances are that, even though they're feeling better after the session, it doesn't mean they'll feel better. They'll get up and still feel the pain.
Right.
It's the opposite sometimes. Sometimes because you suddenly are without pain, when the pain comes back, it feels like it's much worse, but it actually isn't. It's just because you were pain-free for a short time.
And you know what's so interesting to me is that psychologically speaking, people have no problems taking medicine every day for the rest of their lives. But if you tell them, I want you to come in for reflexology once a month for the rest of your life or whatever it is, what? No, that's how you expect me to do that. But I'm perfectly happy popping a cocktail of pills for all sorts of maladies.
There's also a money issue. I mean, we go to Kupat Cholim, we get these pills for nothing.
Oh, that's true too.
It's much cheaper to take pills than it is to get, a complementary medicine.
Yeah, but I feel like it's also poison.
I agree.
And not only that, I mean, not all medicine. Obviously, I'm not knocking medicine. My dad is a doctor, but. And you should never say but. There are definitely side effects. Each person interacts differently with every prescription, and the pollution that's involved in processing and manufacturing these little pills and the factories that produce the little plastic containers that you get them in, and the packaging and the paper and all that stuff. So when I say it's polluting, I don't necessarily mean it's polluting our systems, although it could be doing that, but it's also polluting the environment. So if there is a more holistic, environmentally friendly way to boost our well-being and our health and promote good living, I think it's our responsibility, being in the health and fitness and wellness field to do that.
I just want to make something very clear. If somebody comes with a health issue, the first thing I ask them to do is to
go to
the
a doctor
and check. That's
always
number one. After we see a situation like in this case with the back issue, that it wasn't helping and we know what it is, then we're able to work with it. Just want to one more thing about what's so wonderful about reflexology for something like back issues is, let's say somebody has a problem with with their spine, with the vertebrae. I don't work on the back. I don't cause any kind of damage. I work on the point of the spinal reflex on the foot.